Good morning, everybody. It's Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Today is Sunday, August the 25th, 2024. Thanks for joining me this morning. I have a special guest, and I'll talk to her in just a minute. But wherever you're joining me from in the world today, please do me a favor and in comments, just tell me where you're joining me from. And on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being I'm not feeling great today, 5 being I feel awesome, put that in the comments as well. That's why we know you're here. And more importantly, if you're ever doing lives, you always want to keep the audience engaged and get them to take action, because otherwise you're just sitting there and the algorithm goes, no one's interested in what you have to say. And even if you're watching this on the replay, I always go through and answer comments. So wherever you're watching this on LinkedIn Live or YouTube or Facebook, do me a favor and just type in where you're joining me from and what you're feeling today. 1 being not so great, and 5 being awesome. Before I get too far along, I want to make sure that you all know about my brand new program, the Retail Refresh. It's coming out on September the 18th. Right now, you'll be able to join for $79. And I just have a question for you. Have you ever looked around your store in January and seen all that merchandise and thought, wow, I wish I'd done something different? Well, this is a new program that I'm offering. So, some of the things that people tend to happen and that kill their holidays is, 1, you have poor planning. You forget what you should be doing. You get caught up in tasks instead of the big picture. You forget what's really important. It's not just sales. And you maybe don't let your store look at its best. And so competitors are able to eat your lunch. So I encourage you, for 8 weeks, we're going to go through and talk about a different topic each week. I'll go through and I'll explain what the concept is, give you some new ideas, and then you'll have an activity to do, and there'll be prizes, and it's going to be fun. But you're not going to know unless you register. And so I will put that registration link in the comments here. And there you go. And so I encourage you, again, give me where you are joining us from and your level of energy today, whether it is low or high. Again, $79 early registration. And we're going to have fun with that. And you'll have a chance to be able to sign up all the way until the 18th, except there are limited spaces. So if you get in early, you find out how the fun is all going to work, and you get to plan, and you get to rave about it in November that you were the smart one that was all ready to go. Hey, Lewis, I'm glad you're here on your way to Northwest Buyers Group, and you're a 5. Dude, I love that. Oh, I love that. All right, so now I have to stop sharing. So I have to go to here, and then I have to have my special guest is April Sabral. She is the creator of RetailU, joining us live from Chico, California. Good morning, April.
Good morning, Bob. I'm a 5 today.
Wow,
I was just listening. Yeah.
I love that. Well, introduce yourself, because my audience may not know who you are or what you do.
Yeah, my name's April Sabral. I founded RetailU, which is management training for retailers, like, how to manage people, how to have those difficult conversations, all of that good stuff. That stuff that nobody really likes to do.
I love that. Well, you had some thoughts on people who say that retail is not a real career.
I
So
know,
let's get into it.
Let's get into it. I mean, how can people say that retail is not a real career? Like, think about what a retail manager does in a day, right? And I remember just growing up and telling people I worked in retail, because that's what I did for many years before I started RetailU. And I always felt embarrassed, like, oh, I don't have the real job, because people just think it's uneducated. I don't know. What do you think? Like, when people say
That's
that?
a great point. I mean, I got my degree in conducting, and people would say, like, why are you in retail? It's like, well, I bought my first house when I was 22. Retail's been good for me. But
Right.
that story isn't out there. It's like, well, you're a loser.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that imposter syndrome, like, well, what would you really want to be doing? And it's like, well, I want to be working with people, and figuring it out does take skill. But I guess the difference, April, is it's a different skill set, right? You can't check a box and say, oh, you took this class.
Right. No, retail is a real career, people. It's not a mystical career. You're managing millions of dollars and people every day. I say that all the time. Like, one manager could be managing $1 million business, right? Store owner, $2 million business. So yeah, it takes skill, it takes a lot of effort, and it takes a certain kind of person. I mean, but I think once you're in it and you love it,
Well, that's interesting, because I think owners have that same thing.
Mm.
Are you a salesperson? No, I'm the owner. Like,
Yeah.
Like, oh, God forbid you would say I'm a salesperson. Like, you're the biggest salesperson there should be in your store, right? You're the
Yeah.
one that has to make sure that the bank gets paid and you take money home out of it, not just
Yeah.
putting money into it. Well, we have a few questions here today, and if you are joining us live, you can jump in here and add as well. Top fan Michael says, is it too much to believe employees should be self-motivated instead of asking them to do every last thing? Well, that is a loaded question, April. How would you answer
Ooh,
that? Is
how
it
would I
too
answer
much
that?
to
Yeah.
believe employees should be self-motivated instead of asking them to do every last thing?
Well, I would say I hear a lot of managers say that to me, and that is a loaded question. But the thing is, I'd ask yourself, Michael, right? That's who asked this question.
Yes.
I'd ask yourself, Michael, what are you doing to really motivate your employees? Like, yes, employees can be self-motivated, but you know what? It really requires you as a leader, as a boss, to make sure that you're doing everything in your power to motivate them. And if your employees are not motivated, you better start looking at yourself, because you can get 10% effort out of every single person when they want to work for you. Gone are the days of like, oh, everybody's going to do everything themselves, and like, I just need to hire people that do everything. No, you need to train, develop them, coach them. You need to motivate them. You need to ignite those positive emotions and build the skill. And that's going to require you, Michael, to actually do the work to take that on. Once you do that, then they are going to be motivated. But I don't believe that you can hire a whole team of self-motivated people. I think they are self-motivated when they join, but if you watch their motivation go down, you better check yourself and see what you're doing to make sure you get that motivation back. That's
Nobody
my
wants nobody wants to go to work when the energy is sucked out of you
no.
or you're not rewarded for your brain power. I think that's one of the things, this is the most educated, hopeful group of individuals we've ever seen coming into retail. And then they come into your technology, which is from the 60s. And you're like, well, we work around it this way. We do this. And they're like, really? How do you do anything? And then just wait for customers. And of course, they're going to
I was working with a small business owner that said something like that to me. And then when I went and talked to her whole team, they were all like, well, yeah, no, she's doing everything herself. She's not asking us to do anything. She's not sharing how to do it and what she wants. And it was just a really quick solve. Set clear expectations, recognize people when they're doing good work, and then follow up, and
it's not that hard. And yet it is.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
both sides. Alice has a little bit longer question and not as loaded, I think. So here we go. Alice, if you're watching, you can jump in as well. We've been hammered by a major infrastructure road work construction project for weeks, and that's reduced our traffic significantly. Our regular customers ask us how we're doing with it. My question to you, do we tell the truth? Business is down 50% overall, or do we smile and say, oh, we are okay, la-di-da, it will be over soon? Nobody likes Debbie Downer, but this situation has been a real ass kicker, and it's hard not to be honest when people ask.
Don't be honest. Sorry. I'm just going to say it like it is. Be positive. You're not there to share all your personal drama and stories with your customers. They're not going to appreciate that. I am the queen of positivity. I believe wholeheartedly to keep it together and be positive. I'm not saying don't go talk to the people that are doing all the roadworks and to your local whoever you need to scream at, but your customers just don't need to hear that.
They don't want to. And, the other thing I was thinking about when I read this morning is maybe they're looking at your store and they're asking, are you okay? Like the same merch I've seen for the last 8 months. Like, are you okay? So,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Find a way to move everything around and keep it interesting. But, it is what it is. And, if think about it, people are dealing with all kinds of things. Their mom is Alzheimer's. Their dad is struggling for cancer. They have a kid in rehab. Their friend is being foreclosed. There's a million things. We don't just say, oh, well, this is how it sucks to be me. Because you know what? Nobody wants to hear it. We already have that message.
Yeah, we do. We're pumped with that all day. I remember when I was a store manager back in the day at Starbucks, and I'd moved here from England, and people used to walk in and be like, how are you? And I'd tell them everything. And my staff would be like, what are you doing? Just say you're good. And I was like, well, what if I'm not good? And they were like, but this is customer service in America. And I was like, okay, because, England.
You Brits want to tell us all.
We want to tell you everything, but no, it's not a good look. So I would, keep it together.
All right. Good. We have another one here that's kind of long, so stay with me. Amber asks, our managers take on a lot of responsibilities. How can we better support them by giving our hourly employees more responsibilities? Point of view, we have a great staff of wonderful people and a lot of part-time people. The issue is that a lot of them have retired from their careers and want a job where they enjoy their work and do not have the stress of managing certain responsibilities. They enjoy coming in and working with people. Also, this is our sales team who's on the floor. How do we give All right, this is a two-part question, Amber. How do we give them the tasks and responsibilities and allow them to work on that role while effectively selling on the floor and helping customers? I want to support my managers and help take some of the load off their hands by having another employee responsible for certain departments' monthly responsibilities, etc. So it sounds like your manager overworked and you're afraid to ask your older part-time people to help. Does that sound what you hear? Is that what you hear, April, out of that?
I don't hear that at all. Why do you hear things like that? It's so funny. What
What
makes
do
you
you hear? I should have said.
Yeah, no, you're so cynical. I love it. It's funny.
Just cut to the chase. That's what I hear. What do you hear?
Yeah, no, because I'm a leadership coach. So what I hear is a younger person that doesn't know how to coach an older person to actually take on responsibility. And that's, pretty evident in what she's saying, because she said a few things there, didn't she? She said, like, they're older, they just want to come in and talk to people and things like that. But I would say learn the skill to, like, literally have a coaching conversation and, like, learn how to delegate and again, set the clear expectations and know what you want to do. And just go for it. Like, I don't know, can be intimidating, right? When you're younger and you're trying to manage older people. You're managing your mom, I don't know, like your grandmother, you could be. So
Yeah.
I think it's more about, that's what I hear when I hear that statement. I know what you heard, but I don't know how you heard that, but like,
Well, I would also hear, who are you hiring all the time?
yeah,
Because you can't have the same personality all the way around. And it sounds like you're afraid to ask them to do things, is what I
yeah,
hear.
that's what I hear. And I
And
think when people are afraid, when managers are afraid to ask if it's the manager, I think she's the manager.
yes, right.
And
Anna,
Abby, you
yeah.
got my daughter's name, so I love that. But
Amber,
yeah, but yeah, if you're afraid to ask, I just hear lack of skill. That's what I hear. Because
good.
I think when you get the skill, you get the confidence, then you're okay, you'll do it. But, that's
So I shouldn't just say fire them all and start again.
well, I don't well, you would. I wouldn't do
That's
that, but you would.
maybe. I'm just saying there's always possibility for everything, good and bad.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
true. Yeah.
Hang in there. We still have 4 more to go. And if you're just joining us, make sure that you type in where you're joining in from and what's your energy level today from 1 to 5. I just realized I let myself go down to a 4 there. What the hell? All right. So Steve asks, with HR being the hardest part of business, where do you draw the line with accountability and just having enough people to cover the floor? Ooh, that's a 2024 question.
Well, how would you answer that question? I'm interested now.
I think we have I wanted to say generation. That's not quite right. We have a group of managers who are so shell shocked after the pandemic and that tell me I can't get good people. We've heard that for
Mm,
eons. So
yeah,
when I was a child in the 50s, I'm sure they said that we can't get good people as well. I think you make good people, but more importantly, any business you've got has to hold people accountable. Someone somewhere is held accountable. And when we just say, I need enough people to cover the floor, we end up deteriorating the whole
100%.
retail environment, because I can't tell you how many stores I've gone into and no one gives a damn
Mhm.
on any level. The stores are filthy. Look at Starbucks; they're big troubles right now. Your old
Yeah,
brand there.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I walked into a store the other day and I was shocked. It was like there was crap. You could see stuff underneath the counters that would never have happened. And while you could rail on the employees and say, "Damn it, employees," someone's not holding somebody accountable, and they're paying great wages. They have amazing benefits. So it's not that, but it's that desire to say we can be better. And I think any manager, if you're watching this, if you don't start every day by saying, how can we be better? I think you're really in trouble. And if you just, and once that, we just got enough people on the floor, April. Well,
Yeah, that's an
about the
excuse.
back door, isn't it? You're going to product out the back door. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's an excuse. That's just an excuse to me because, like, we've all ran stores. I ran stores with 2 people coverage, and I had people say that to me all the time. And it's all about performance and productivity, batching tasks and scheduling things right, and like setting expectations. And I think accountability is a big word to unpack because people get fearful of the word accountability. They literally think it's just a hard conversation, and it's not. It's accounting for people's abilities. Like, I break it into two pieces. And if you can account for people's abilities, then you'll start looking at what they are capable of. And then that reflects on you, because you're not actually trusting and believing that they could do three things. You're thinking that they can only do this. And you don't know until you ask them and then recognize them for it. So I think that's a big excuse. There's not enough people on the floor. I've managed retailers for years with 2 people coverage, had to unpack boxes, had to clean, had to, the last one was a tea company. We had 150 teas. We had to do all the expirations on them and all that kind of stuff. And, one manager could do it, another manager couldn't. And it was literally the way that exactly what that question was. Oh, we only have enough people on the floor. No, you have people on the floor. You get to work with these people on the floor. You get to ask them to do things. You get to follow up. And I think it goes back to fear of I'm too scared to ask them to do it because I don't want to stress them out. Well, that's on you. That's not on them. You don't know that that's how they feel.
It's a great point. And I think it starts when we allow people to come in 10 minutes late or with a wrinkled shirt, or to take too long of a break, or to constantly be saying, can I go home? Can I go home? Go home. That wears on you. At some point, why are you there are people out there, right? April, we have seen it. I have met some of the greatest people in the last 8 months who are actually working retail and enjoying it. They are out there. It is not a matter of how much they're paid, but it does come to, what are your standards? And if you don't have them, I think you're pretty much left with either let's make a deal where they're just selling by, I'll give you 20% off this week. Here's a coupon, go online and, put it in your cart and come back and get 20%. Then you come in, I get another, right? It's either that kind of thing or it's the Wild Wild West.
100%.
What's it going to be? Is anyone going to help me? So
I'd embrace accountability. I love accountability.
I love that. That could be a toaster cozy for your little gift for Christmas. Tony has a question. My daughter and my manager don't get along. My manager recently told me after I'd counseled both of them to get along, he wouldn't work when she did. Holy crap. I'm not in my store as much as I used to be, and I can't imagine trying to schedule them opposite. We're a small but busy store. He used to be really good, but I feel this is an indication of something bigger. What do you think? You have to answer this first.
I have to answer this first. Oh my God. Well, are you using, I'm always going to go back to management skills, right? Because you're going to be like, just get rid of one of them. But I'm going to be like, did you use your conflict management skills? Have you had a conversation with them?
Oh my God.
But I think that's a difficult situation, right? But yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, you've got what are they not getting on about? They just don't like each other? Like, what's happening?
The manager said he's not going to work with his daughter. So at that point, when you throw down the gauntlet, you can watch the roots go through my feet. I don't want to talk to you. I'm out. That's not a person. That's not a person I think that's reasonable. If you say you've counseled both of them to get along, and you're only going to work when she doesn't. I get it. I've had those.
Yeah, that's not reasonable. That's not reasonable. Like, if you're a manager, you've got to get along with all different types of personalities and work through that. So yeah, whatever's going on there, a manager themselves saying that they're not going to work with somebody, that's not really a manager, is it?
That's a hard one, I think.
Yeah, it's not. You'd have to know more of the situation. But I think if you've sat down, you've got to set some clear expectations and some guidelines. You can't put them on opposite shifts. It's just not going to work. So,
and it probably, to your point, we're at the end of the life cycle of this. You probably could have saved this earlier on if things must have really gotten painful for that other person to say, I won't ever do it. And I think you got to look at your daughter. Sorry.
Well, maybe that's the learning. Maybe that's the learning, though. Maybe he said that he hasn't been in the store as often as he was. So maybe when he stepped away, and this happens to a lot of small business owners, when they step out of the business and they put a manager in, they don't know how to train that manager to actually do what they did or be a manager, right? So maybe that's a big learning that you need to go back and be like, if I did hire a new manager, what would I do differently?
I love that. And if you are watching this, I know several of you still watch this, you got to give me some thumbs up or some love or your little applause on LinkedIn or whatever, because April has joined us at 6 a.m. her time, folks, to be here with me today. So if you like what she's saying, put in the comments, yes, she's cool, we should have her back, or hell no, she's much too nice, and I'd rather have Bob just say, fire them all.
Love it.
Trish says, I don't have employees, but the thing I'm struggling with is acquiring. This is my last one, apparently. I don't have employees, but the thing I'm struggling with is acquiring new customers and just letting people know I'm here. Okay, there you go, April. That's like
Well,
retail 101, but go
it's
ahead.
retail 101. I mean, there's so many things you can let people know you're here. You know, social media being what it is today. I just watched the whole. It's a terrible show, but I mean, it was a good education show. But the one about Brandy Melville, right? I just watched it on the plane the other day. Have you watched that yet? Oh, you got to watch it. It's one of those uncover the hood stories of a retailer that's really bad in terms of culture, but it's really amazing what they did with their social media. They built their whole brand off their social media and just their clients, their customers. So
Okay.
that's a really good education in social media. But social media being what it is, what are you doing? Are you posting? Do you have an Instagram? Do you have Facebook?
I put
Then,
a 20% off coupon if they come in
well,
today.
yeah. Walk around,
I'm
like, go introduce
trying.
yourself to, like, the local community. Like, are you going out there? Are you talking? I mean, we used to go and hustle and give tea to everybody in our communities to get them to come and drink our tea. So, like, there's so many things you can do, right? You just have to get out there. You can't just be
Great
in your
point.
4 walls waiting for people to come. It doesn't work like that.
No, it's a great point. Shoe leather is so undervalued in this day and age that old school is, what is your trade area? Oh, we sell all over. Don't give me that crap. Where did most of your customers come from? I don't know. You better have a mailing list. If they bought something, you should have something physical that you could
Yeah.
do. And if nothing else, if you did that, your MailChimp or HubSpot or somebody could tell you the location that their IP is. Whatever it is, you have to say, how do I try better? And
Yeah.
pick one thing,
Yeah.
right? Don't
And
say
I was
like,
working.
oh, I'm going to do everything.
Yeah, and I had a spa owner tell me, "Oh, I don't have any customers coming in." I said, "Well, show me how many customers are in your database." She had like 800 people. I was like, "Have you called them all and invited them back and given them a coupon?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, give me the list. Like, we're going to start calling now. We're calling every single customer. We're going to every building. We're dropping everything." She was like, "Oh." I was like, "It's not that complicated. Get out of your head."
That's
You
a
know?
great point. I love that, April. Well, it looks like people like you.
Oh, thanks.
What a surprise. No one said we should have more Bob. Thanks for that. You could have yes, Bob. Anyway, it's all good. So
Thank you, Bob.
again, I don't want you to forget about the Retail Refresh. Starts about 3 weeks. You can get it with Early Bird Special by following that link. I put it in comments. You'll be seeing it in a relentless promotion that'll be coming up. And also, don't forget Sales RX, my online retail sales training program. Because if you don't train them, you can't hold them to results. And I appreciate April Sabral. How can they find out more about you?
You can find out more about me by going to RetailU.ca and aprilsabral.com. Yeah.
There you go. And don't forget, we're about as happy as we make ourselves up to be. So make sure you have a great day. Thanks for joining us today. Bye, everybody.